sending shots at everybody, let the hatred begin. I'm really living how I'm spitting, I ain't living pretend. I'm about to shit on everyone who ever doubted I'd win. Came out the trailer, mama should've whooped my ass. I was 6 when I found a 38 in the grass, and I tugged that bitch, I'll make my way right fast. And then I promise if they try me, I will blast. Motherfucker, I'm reckless. Someone put a bounty on my necklace. I'm trying to leave these horsemen headless, living life stressless, smoking joints and playing with her bestest. She tells me that she love me and she said that I'm the best. When you see me walk and hear the way I talk, it's obvious that I'm a product of the trailer park. And I'm not so small when it comes to math, but I bet $100 I can whip your ass. Now when you see me walk and hear the way I talk, it's obvious that I'm a product of the trailer park. And I'm not so small when it comes to math, but I bet $100 I can whip your ass. It's bobbing, haters in the city where I'm walking. If they try me, I'ma put them in a coffin. Ain't no yelling, ain't no talking. Fire on me, ain't afraid to spark them. And I handle it myself, so I ain't even gotta mark them, bitch. Had to take a second to breathe. I'm bad as fucking out of breath, I swear you wouldn't believe. Guess the rest is for the best, and yes, the best is me. I got the hammer on my waist, so I'm content as could be. And I promise, it's just another day up in the office, bitch. I'm sick, I'm about to spit and make them bombing, motherfucker. I promise, just another day up in the office, bitch. I'm sick, I'm about to spit and make them bombing. Now when you see me walk and hear the way I talk, it's obvious that I'm a product of the trailer park. And I'm not so small when it comes to math, but I bet $100 I can whip your ass. Now when you see me walk and hear the way I talk, it's obvious that I'm a product of the trailer park. And I'm not so small when it comes to math, but I bet $100 I can whip your ass.
Oh, it's unmuting time.
It is on meeting time. Hello and welcome to Practical Reality.
I'm so
For
glad you said
those
the name. I forgot the name. I was like,
Practical Reality, I am your host, Had IRL, alongside Wicked Rage, our co-host and producer, and we have no other than the legendary Mr. XGN himself. How are you guys doing this evening, guys?
I'm all right. I'm just getting started.
I mean, we've been off camera for about before the show started for about 15 minutes, and I've already had a bunch of laughs with Mr. XGN. Man, it's a pleasure to do something with you. We've talked about doing something of some caliber together for I don't know, Jesus, 5 years or more, and so I'm glad you decided to do this, man. So how are you feeling tonight, man?
It always bounces like up in conversation. Like I like
Yeah.
randomly had the idea. Like I'll be scrolling Twitter like 2 a.m. I'm like, I respect the fuck out of that guy. Like I'll just go like all your tweets and then just hit your DM and then we'll talk and then it'll go for like 3 months.
No, man, like definitely, brother, and you know what, like the respect goes out to you too, man. Like, we definitely have a lot of things in common, man. When it comes down to some of the things that we talk about online, and the fact that where you're still running XGN. For those that don't know, I had my own gaming community called Team Pawnage, which is made 11 years this year, and my former uh, co-leader of sorts, Wicked Rage over here, has the reins, and she is now the owner and CEO of Team Pawnage now. As I step down, it's been how many years have I stepped down? It's been what, 2 years or more? Wow, look at that, 2 fucking years, 2 fucking years, and it's still going, it's still cranking, and it's maybe even better than ever. So shout outs to both of you guys for keeping both communities running for so long. Now, Mr. XGN, can I just call you Mr. XGN? Mr. What should I call you during
You can
this?
call me if you want, Mr. XGN,
Mr.
XGN, Professor X.
Professor X. How many people call you Professor X? So that's just your thing.
That just guy named Hell Siri, who was like my right hand man for a really long time. He called me Professor X once, and then I
One
just
time,
kind
one
of
time,
one time, and I kind of rolled with it.
and you roll
You know
with
what I'm
it.
saying?
Were you missing the kind of the bold head to make that full claim? But for those just joining, why don't you tell us what XGN is? Where did it come from? Where did it start? I know that's probably a long conversation in itself. So maybe you want to kind of do like a speed answer on that one.
So we're a multi-platform gaming cult. I'm just kidding. All right. Anyways,
That almost went by me real
nah,
quick. I was just like, yeah.
nah. Realistically, it's a gaming community. That's it. I'm just joking. Nah. It was kind of formed when I was younger, and I kind of just, it was a really big part of like my life growing up, and like what made me me. So it's kind of like one of those things that I feel has just continued to evolve over the years. But at the core, it really is just a gaming community, a clan of people that gather to share their passion for video games and other things. That's the
Yeah,
core.
sounds a lot like Team Ponage. And shout out to all the XGN members in chat and Team Ponage members in chat as well. You guys have a lot of things in common as far as what you guys are. The reason why you guys are in these communities. Now, you had originally started from another very known. I don't know if it's team or community way back when. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to really just say fuck those guys. I'm just joking. Just kidding. No, no, no. I was a part of a community at a really young age, like I think 13 when I first got involved with it, which was KSI Global Gaming Network.
Which
And
is hugely known, right? Like that's like
yeah,
one of the four founders, if you will. Is
yeah,
that kind of accurate?
they're pretty thick. No, they're pretty great, dude. I mean, but ultimately, I was a part of that, and it taught me a lot of what not to do. I'm just kidding. Oh man, they're gonna hate my ass. I'm gonna get
No,
deleted off the Hall of Fame again. They're gonna delete me off the Hall of Fame again.
yeah,
Oh
and
good.
I did, and I remember seeing you talk about that, the whole Hall of Fame thing as well. So, is that something to do annually, or is like what's the story with that?
Twitter? Yeah, I pretty much cry annually on Twitter about something. Is that what you're referring to?
I just know that there was some complaints regarding not being part of the Hall of Fame. I mean, I didn't know really how much to read into that, but I definitely saw like there was something going on there.
Yeah, I'm a baby.
Say that again.
I'm a baby. Like I mean, I got pretty upset. Like, cause to me, like I did like a lot of work and I
Yeah.
put in a lot of time there. And by a lot, I mean, actually, like I thought in my mind, in my 13-year-old mind, you asked me, I was there for fucking a decade. It turns out I was only there at a year and a half, but like somehow I made it to like the board of directors and like senior director and made it at the top, fairly quickly. And then in my mind, that made it even more insulting because I accomplished so much, like in such a short amount of time at the age of 13, and then went on like while everyone else got to fuck off and live their life and have their beautiful, happy families. I was like, I was at home working and like building this online gaming guild. God,
you,
that's so sad.
but
Okay.
do you think your success with XGN is reason why they would be avoiding you like that?
Well, I mean, to me, like, as KSI, like, because at heart, like, I'll always be KSI, right? So I would realistically say that be proud of all the things that have come from your organization. Like the YouTuber KSI, there's videos of him openly saying that he got his name from a clan and it stands for knowledge, strength, and integrity. When you go to KSI's Twitter, it should literally have that person in your Twitter header. Put him in
Hmm.
an awkward position to where he has to even what I mean? Like, what is he going to do? Say anything? Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, he would still have to acknowledge you. There's just a lot of branding behind it. And be proud of, like, XGN and be proud of, like, all of the great stuff that come from there. And that's always been kind of my argument. You know what I mean?
No, no, yeah, I totally get it. I mean, XGN has just been around for so long. Um, it was 11 years this year, no?
Yeah, July 7th will make 11 years.
Oh, look at that! So it's just right around the corner. Happy anniversary to you guys. Going past a decade. Yeah, going past a decade. We know Team Ponage does a little bit of something like that too. You know, Team Ponage and XGN, excuse me, XGN definitely went through different paths when it came down to how things were run and the community itself. We're not comparing apples and oranges here. No point intended with the orange and Team Ponage, but uh, when you started out with XGN, what did you foresee it going? Was it just kind of something you wanted to kind of replicate? Not to say you wanted to copy KSI, but just something you wanted to replicate, like its success, or like what was your mindset going into getting XGN off the ground?
So to get it off the ground, I pretty much sat down with all my leaders. I was like, all right, guys, how can we copy this community in every single way? All right. And I was like, well, to me, like, here's the thing. Like, I loved KSI, like, a lot. Like, abnormally. Like, I was wearing, like, KSI merch to school. It was a whole
Oh,
bad.
were you not trolling just now when you said you wanted to make it like you were being serious?
Oh, I'm being serious.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh
I
yeah, for
wasn't.
sure, man. But
I
let's
thought you
keep
were
it a
just
bug.
okay.
Like,
Okay.
bro, on our first website that looked like a MySpace page, essentially, like we had copied the code of conduct word for word, like copy and pasted. We didn't even edit out all the KSIs. So
You
like it
missed you
was
missed some of the KSI words.
yeah, and then at the bottom of it, I said that this page was inspired by, and then I like spelled KSI wrong. I don't know how. I think I
Oh,
spelled
yes.
knowledge incorrectly. But anyways, so I realistically
Irony.
never had an issue with like the clan itself, but they kind of went through like a split, like they split in half, right? And
Mhm.
then all of the board members like voted to like do some weird shit or something, but like I wasn't included. And now in hindsight, it's probably because I was like 13. But I was like one of the few board members that like stayed back, right? So to me, like it just kind of died. Like what it was kind of died out, and I didn't really see it as like I'm hitting KSI. Like I hit up Bill, I hit up KSI 77 who made it, and like I informed him of this. It was just kind of like a weird situation. You know what I mean? I didn't hate KSI. I just it wasn't there anymore at that time.
Hey, 13 is just a young age to kind of be wrapped in all of that, man. And it's a lot to take on for a teenager, I think. You know what I mean? Like, uh, do you feel like being the age that you are now, do you think you would have handled things a little bit differently? I mean, well, I don't want to say I think that's an obvious answer, but is that the case? Do you feel like you would have handled things differently going into doing XGN?
I mean, perhaps, but also like I feel like I would have probably already quit. I feel like there was so much like struggle, so much passion, so much like just in general like innovative things that like organic growth because I was essentially growing up as a person and then also trying to grow up as a leader, right? And like I'm still learning shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that I feel like the journey is like part of the, destination.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's things that I regret doing or not doing, or wish there was things I handled differently. Throughout the years that I ran Team Pontage for sure. And Rage, you've been running it for Team Pontage for 2 years now. Is it safe to say you have some decisional regrets in just the 2 years that you've been running it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that just kind of comes with the
The job?
territory. You
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I even know why your community is referring to spoons? Is that something that we want to know? What's in
Well,
chat? They're just
it's Spoon Syndicate. Like it's a whole it's cult shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole lot of cult shit, cult activity.
okay.
Yeah.
Seems interesting. Maybe that leads me to my next question. At some point, I want to say maybe a couple of years ago, you went on a movement, and I think I put my eyes on you on Twitter more than I had in previous years. and it seems like you started kind of picking up all these younger teams, um, or new teams, and putting them under the XGN umbrella. And other, Twitter accounts and other names started kind of popping up, and there was a lot of hype on Twitter. What was that all about? Like, what was, basically, what was that?
Well, I mean, realistically, from the beginning of like XGN, like I always, like I said, like I really, like no jokes aside, I really did learn a lot from KSI and learn what like not to do. And I kind of saw that a lot of the like even today, that's something that has never changed from all the way back in like 2008, 2009, 2010 that I saw as like a huge issue then. It's still an issue today. Like a lot of clans literally um, they start out and they want to network with everyone. They want to affiliate and have 20 different alliances or whatever. Like before, they want to have more allies than they have like members, right? So, and I always felt that XGN, like I wouldn't want to do that unless we actually had something substantial to bring to the table, right? Like why would because that's the number one thing. Like when everyone wanted to affiliate with XGN over the years, like well, what are you offering? You know what I mean? And those times, affiliations and alliances were immediately in our scene viewed as like hostile moves, right? Like
Yeah,
hostile
yeah, yeah,
things, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
security, DDoSing, stuff like that. Whatever it is. It's been a very cutthroat like environment,
Yeah, there's a,
realistically. A
a
lot
lot of
of
a lot of
backstabbing.
poaching as well. You know what I mean? A lot of, you had to watch out for shit like that too. You know. Um,
Yeah. On both sides. Like KSI, I've seen KSI like backstab people, different things, get backstabbed. Like it's just very like it's very LARPing. Like it has like a very like live action role play effect to it. You know what I mean? Where it's not real. So like to me, like I always kept my organization as like underground and like to itself as possible. Like I feel like when Modern Warfare 3 came out, we all stayed back on Black Ops 1, right? And
mm,
then when BO2 came out, we hit that game crazy, and it's like I can't hide it no more. You know what I mean? Like I tried to
yeah,
keep like I could maintain like 1,200 people like completely under the radar, right? And like it got to a certain point where I couldn't hide that, and it got to a certain point to where I started looking around the clan scene as a whole, and seeing that a lot of these smaller organizations don't have the resources to even excel. Like they're
yeah,
seasonal clans. Most clans are seasonal. You know what I mean? Like they'll
yeah,
last a season and end.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you referring to seasonal as far as games are concerned? Because it was always a joke. At least when I first started doing the gaming community stuff, it was always like when tax season came, there was always teams that started to pop up. As soon as somebody got a little $300 check or whatever, then you had these guys that started buying graphics and team logos and stuff, and then after a few months they were like gone. So are you referring to like game related seasons, or just kind of like seasons like there's always a time of the year where these random teams start popping up and then they just kind of disappear?
I would say that 90% of every clan I've ever seen made didn't last past 9 months, right? 6 months, around there. Like I would say they just don't have the like substantial like mindset or like the same energy because like they get to a certain point to where like people want to take what you would give to them. You know what I mean? So essentially, like I just kind of see it as a seasonal inconvenience, and I have
Seasonal inconvenience.
yeah, like that's kind of like what it is, like a cost
Oh,
of
that's
like
great.
operation,
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
great.
not I don't really dwell on stuff like that, but to kind of get back, um, what was the question again? The last one, because like I was trying to wrap it in.
Just like as far as like teams that pop in every year,
Oh
whether
yeah.
it's because a new game dropped or it's because they got a few extra dollars in their pocket and they have money for a logo now, kind of a thing.
I mean, they don't even care about that, bro. Have you seen like these design where it's like they don't even try, bro. They don't put no money into that. But
Marketing, branding, it's so freaking important, guys. Just so you know, like your appeal of how you look is the first thing. It's just like it's like a resume, man. You gotta look good going in, right? You know, like yeah, I've seen some horrible
put
stuff
the
out there for
energy in,
sure.
man.
And
It
for the
takes a
love,
lot of
and for the
energy.
love, I mean, for the love, I mean, I don't want to like, for the love of God, try to be different. I mean, I know XGN has like, you guys have a few different logos, but originally, like, you had a skull. You know, Team Ponage is a skull. So the skull thing has been done, but Team Ponage and XGN has been around for 11 years. So excuse us that we have something, from then. But, like, everyone comes out with like a snake or like a reaper, or it's just like like the originality is just is out the window, I think, at this point. But you know
A
um
wolf.
a wolf, yeah, a wolf or a bear and stuff. I mean, I get it, there's so many things that you can only figure out so many things. But I think you definitely got to take a look at your branding and marketing when you're going in and doing this. And what gets me the most, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is you have these new teams, clans, because I'll use the quotations because they're barely that, right? And they'll tweet out and they're like, yeah, we're looking for CEOs, leaders, members, streamers, content. Like, what do you have now? Like, you're looking for every position possible. So like, it's just you then. That's okay, great. Like, it's those are
Well,
always the tough.
anyways, man, like that's
Well,
just a bad way of doing it because they want to build the roof before they even build the foundation.
yeah, yeah. Or they're printing out jerseys before they have anyone to wear them. It's just like, come on, man. Like, there's ways to do this thing. I mean, like, let's not forget that the core thing with the team and the gaming community is just like, it really should start off with you and your buddies. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, at least for me, like, it always should start with you and your close friends or the guys that you game with every night, and turn that into something, because that's your foundation, is the relationship you built right before the transition into you making a team or a clan. If you're out here just trying to make a team and then you're out here looking for friends because you don't have any, like, hey, how I can make friends? It's just, let me just make a team and start fishing for friends. Like, I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think, like, you should be the one looking for a team, or a clan or something like that, man. Is that something that you've kind of seen as well?
I mean, to me, like I always felt that being a part of something, like whether you're the leader or whatever, like I feel like that a lot of people go into it with negative like intentions. Like I don't feel like there's no anything, wrong with, joining an organization and gaining knowledge and gaining like, actual friends, but the way I see people like when they depart, like they'll just cut off all their friends or they'll stop talking to them. Like people really take it serious, like the clan lines and like the clan tag, and like to me overall, like as a scene, we're so much more valuable, and that's like the same way like a lot of my friends and like Hydra and like other large organizations kind of also feel, right? Like the scene overall is like so valuable, and the people are like what's important, no matter what three letters is in the tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Rage. I mean, you should have loads to say on that one, right? I mean, being running Team Pointers for 2 years, like, speak on that, man.
I mean, I don't know if I should. For
Oh
me,
man.
it's when people, it just annoys me when somebody leaves and they cut off everyone. They think that they're not supposed to have communication with the people that were in that community. I mean, I feel like they just are in the wrong mindset going into the whole thing. It absolutely blows my mind at how many people just toss people aside. Like, we're all in this together. You're supposed to come in and make friends. The thing in my community is, if you leave and at least made one friend there, I did my job.
Yeah, yeah, and in Team Pointage, as an example, we have they're no longer members, and some of them don't like me very much because, just like you, Mr. XGN, I have made some enemies. I'm sure throughout the time that I was running some stuff, just because bad decision making or saying the wrong thing or whatever. But Team Ponage has had people that, again, not existing members, but that eventually got married,
Yes.
Eventually moved from one state to another to to just to be together. We've had members that have had kids together. What I mean. They're no longer members anymore, but like
Some
that
are.
shit happens. You know what I mean?
And it
So
still
like
happens.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and like,
is there something brewing now behind the
I
scenes? I
can't
don't know.
say. I'm
oh my
sorry.
goodness.
Ah,
I'm sorry.
love is in the
That's off
air.
limits. That one's off limits.
Okay,
Oh
all
my
right.
goodness. Yo, but I really do like I relate to that because like to me like a huge part of all this, like I would say like my big like era of fun is kind of like yeah, I still enjoy it. Yeah, I still have like a lot of fun with it, but like I really do kind of keep going because like I think about the people that aren't even here anymore, right? Like I think about like on our website there's like over 100,000 registered users and that's just from 2012, right? And I think about
Do you ever wipe?
nah, like
Never. So if someone
on the
signed if
website,
yeah, if someone
yeah.
signed up 10 years ago, they're still there?
For now, I mean that's about to change because we're
Wow.
releasing like a new site and an app, but like even
Here's a
with
little
that,
trivia. Here's a
yeah.
little trivia. Just to cut you off. Is that right before I took the ownership of Team Ponage? I was in Team Ponage for like a year or something, and then the owner. That's another story for another time. But I took over. I'm not the founder. I wasn't the founder of Team Ponage, but I took over and I ran it for many, 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 many years. But right before that happened, there was like a falling out, and I was like, oh shit, you know. And I actually was like, what's gonna happen here? And I actually created an account under XGN.
Oh, shit.
So yeah. So I'm just like, it's curious, crazy how probably like my account might be in there. So
Man, there's a lot of accounts and stuff, but like that's about to change because we're releasing like a new platform and a mobile app, and
ooh, a
stuff
mobile
like
app,
that.
nice.
Yeah, but we're gonna have like a legacy dot like exiledsyndicate.com that people can still access and like view the old site and the old stuff, So it's not gonna disappear. There's a lot of history there. But like I really do, I take into account like all that because like of all the stuff that you can get that is lost, like that time is like so valuable, right? And people chose to like and choose to like spend it here. And to me it's almost like I'm constantly like working and constantly grinding to like make that time amount to something more than just a singular person, right? So that's kind of like the you know why I kind of keep going.
Sorry, we're actually just getting in some more questions for you.
I actually have a good one from the chat here.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
we want to go to some questions in chat. Go right ahead.
Absolutely. What made you want to have the name Exiled Gaming Network?
Well, whenever we kind of decided that we were going to make a community and make an organization, I knew that I wanted to have it related back to KSI, right? I knew I wanted to have it like at some way, some shape and form, be related back. And personally, I wanted it to be kind of Helix related because like the divisions that I came from were like triple and double Helix and stuff, but there was already like a really big esports team that kind of like was utilizing the Helix name, so I was like, eh. So we ended up going with like the other really large scale like empire inside of KSI, which was like the exiled stuff. So we kind of just took it and rolled with it.
Okay, that's good, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now as a whole, you have. I know you mentioned you have. What's like you said 100,000 users, but you have like how many official members do you have? I think the number I last heard or saw was like 4,000. Is that still the case?
Like we maintain right around like 2 to like 2,500, and then like that's kind of like our safety net. Right now we're
Jesus.
doing we're like not down bad in numbers, but we definitely like dropped below like 2,000 just because I like we've completely switched the whole script and like the whole like idea, like how we kind of just copy and pasted like before. Like once we started changing stuff, like we started changing like everything, right? So it's nothing like KSI now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like Team Ponage has never reached to more than over maybe slightly over 100, right, Rage? I mean,
I mean, we've been up to
we
120 before, but
yeah.
um, quality over quantity, so we're back down.
Yeah. So how do you how do you maintain that? I mean, what is yeah, that's a good question. What is your recruitment process, or if not so much recruitment, like how do you accept new members? Is there a criteria? Is there certain things you have to do? Is there a trial period? Is there certain boxes that need to get checked off? Is it kind of just what? How does one join XGN? What is
Yeah. You don't even know what you're getting into. This is such a long topic. Hold on.
I mean, you could you could give us the brunt of it. You know what I mean? You don't have to.
All right. So this is like
I feel
a
like I should
lot
sit back and
different.
just keep drinking
Just
my whiskey. Go for it,
this is a lot
man.
different, man. This is like we're built different. Like,
Okay.
look,
All right. All right.
yo, like I guess so. In KSI, like that organization was massive, 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 right? Like it had like, they always lied about numbers, but they definitely had over 10,000 people at some point, right? So in XGN, like our peak, we've had right around like 7,500 people, like on Black Ops 2, like that was where it was a bustling, right? And the kind of way, and just to keep it a buck, the system that we were utilizing, it starts to deteriorate like at around 5,000 users. Like that's the sweet point of capacity with the traditional clan system. After that, it starts to kind of affect the experience and quality, right? So, um, with the system that and it takes a lot of work. I mean, it takes a ton of like pretty much everyone that you had, like this is old system, everyone that you had in leadership, everyone that you had in a position of power, like they pretty much like you're unknowingly asking them to commit to a second job, right? Because like it's that level of stress, that level of working,
Mm,
etc. So like, we could maintain, 5,000 people like every year, right? We could do that. We can, continue to cycle out different batches. Like, someone can do the math. I said there's over 100,000 users on the website since 2012. You know what I mean? We've never had more than 7,500 people. So the issue is clearly never recruiting, it's retention, right? Like that's kind of always been the main situation. And like I said, like a clan scene like the previously was like essentially in turmoil and essentially like not good. We had developed so many like essential like membership quality of life policies that affected that, right? So many policies that kind of like blacklist where okay, if you're friends with this person, then you have to block them. If not, then everyone has to block you and shit like that. That was just
really?
petty. Yeah, yeah. We like embraced that.
I think I literally see Rage taking notes as you're talking about all this.
Yeah. Like we had a blacklist and like that came, that's something that we inherited from KSI, but like putting people in emotional situations where they have to choose between clan and friendship is just fucked up, right? It's not
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And that's like damage that we unknowingly did to the scene. And like that's kind of why in the beginning of 2020, like all the the big guys, all the major groups that we sat down and kind of talked because we could equally recognize that what we've done to like hold the scene back, right? And once we kind of got rid of the blacklist, that's when we started changing everything to where before we had something, pockets of 100 members called squads, right? Squads were a part of a broader thing of like 10, you got 10 squads in a division, right? So part of a division. Well, the cycle was, build your squad, recruit people into it, recruit, 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 build, build, build. Right when the chemistry's good, right where the squad is performing at the capacity you want it to perform, we would then rip it apart, take half the assets, half the resources, and then make another one, and then say do it again, and then act surprised when 12 months later one of those two squads are merging back into each other, right? And
There's
then
so
you're
many
counting
levels to this
in,
shit. Holy crap.
yeah. So,
Wow.
and then you would count into squad tag security, how many phone numbers you got to have, how many codes you got to have, like all the maintenance to it, background checks, scanning friends lists, all the shit, like pointlessly posting on the forums for like whatever reason, like it just essentially take a step back and be like, I'm not for sure like this whole shit was built with the best intention, right? Like it's almost like it's operating like a multi-level like marketing company without a hit product. You know what I mean? So that's whenever I was like, okay, so this is what I inherited, and then like this clearly isn't going nowhere. So like we can bite the bullet, we can, essentially make the changes that we have to do and still lose people, right now because what they originally joined is changing, right? Or we just leave everything how it is and just continue to like absolutely like kill ourselves just to maintain such a small amount of people anyways, right? So, and never having the same people, right? Like I can go through meetings and meeting photos and everything, and I'm the only constant. It's literally like I'm a vampire, I swear. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look through the photos of like them through the generations, like that's kind of like what it is, where I'm the only constant. So in my mind, like everyone, when I made these changes and it pissed off a whole bunch of people, right? And we voted them through, like essentially it sucked, but in my mind, those are people that the only difference is instead of leaving 14 months from now, they're leaving now. Because if I change nothing, little do they know that this ain't really what they want. And as a leader, like I had to like make that decision that hey, this isn't even for the people that think this is the way. After a decade of you doing it, I can tell you it's not, right? So that's kind of like
Wow.
where we're at.
No, wow, dude. Wow. Like that's a lot, man. Yeah, and the reason why shit, I'm never speechless, right? You know that. And oh my God. There's just a lot there that you just said, man. And there's a lot, Rage. I really do hope you were taking notes, but because there's a lot there, man. And I'm just, as you're saying this shit, I'm just like thinking about other shit that I've been through when I was running Team Ponage, and just the different leaders I had and the different formats I try to put in place, and the things that were being asked of me, and the things that were almost even being demanded, and stuff like that, and just trying to figure out what would work, and just trying to make everyone happy. Like everything you just said there, it just seemed like times 10, and I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? That's just insane.
Can't make
Um,
everybody happy.
no, yeah, and that's always it. Obviously, you're not doing all this shit by yourself. I mean, if you are, then I can't imagine how you have time to fucking eat and shit. But what are your speak on your leaders? Like, how many leaders do you have? I can't, Jesus, because that I feel like there's gonna be another long answer. And not that I'm complaining, but I just feel like there's just XGN is just so involved. There's so much shit going on, and you guys are so big. Like I'm expecting you to say there's like 100 leaders or something. Like how many people are helping you on a day to day? Who's running the Twitter account? Is that still you, or is like how much of the day to day stuff is in your hands versus what's delegated out to other leaders?
Well, we got a pretty large staff. Like, I mean, like a part of this change was that previously, like there was this board of directors, and everyone had different, board positions. But at the end of the day, we kind of all did the same like thing. We kind of all governed it, right? Uh, we kind of did, the same collective, thing, but with different positions, and it didn't really make sense. So we kind of got rid of that, and we made this clan ops council essentially to where like it's us, like it's each of us are equal, and each of us vote, and each of us talk about things, and so forth and so on. So like that's kind of where we go. Like we got like Bree, she's been here for like ever. She handles like the department operations, and like that's where like there's social media on the department level. There's also social media teams inside of every division. There's events departments over XS as a whole, but then there's also individual division events teams to where like in my mind, even if XS, is failing you, even if XS is like not providing the appropriate amount of events at this given time, it's not like you're just standing around waiting for it, because as a division you can go out and get it on your own, right? And like essentially to where now there's like local like events teams, and then there's also like Exile Syndicate wide like events teams, right? And that's kind of like the mindset is previously like we always built departments and these talent or skill-based teams outside of the divisions or around the divisions, but when you build them like internally, it's just different, right? So it's almost like now people are kind of contributing. Like every division has a Twitch, every division has a YouTube, every division has a Twitter. Like they're not just having to feel like they're pouring something into like whatever, but they can also be a part of that as well. And that's kind of like the route that we take, to where it's kind of like a state and government or type feel.
It just sounds like you should be running a multi-million-dollar company. The way you're talking, the way the way these things are so. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. This leads me to a question that we got via DM from one of your members. I don't know if they wanted to be anonymous or not, so we're not gonna say any names. Um, uh, the question was, with XGN going on 11 years old, are there any members currently in XGN who's only been here for less than 3 years that you, Mr. XGN, got to know and you wish that they were part of the organization for a longer time and they would have made the community stronger? So just to recap that question, 11 years going, is there anyone in the last, let's say, 3 years that has joined that you wish, like, damn, this guy, if I had him way back when, we would be stronger, better, or at a different level? Is there any? Again, I don't know if you want to shout out any members. That's on you, but that's the question.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna get like hate, but I have to say, yo, my chick for sure. Wait, that's weird. Never mind, she's 18. Holy fuck. Never mind. You know what I'm saying? Yo, hey, bro, look, if she was
Just
fucking older, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
just who she is as a person. We're not
dude,
talking age
it
here.
don't
Yeah,
even gotta
yeah.
be her. It could, let's just make up
Someone
someone.
like her. Yeah, yeah.
All of her traits, but it's fucking little, I don't even know, Johnny or something, or Jeffrey, or some random guy. Like, cause I dead ass got told a lot of stuff just wasn't like technologically like possible, like as far as like on Discord and like as like on the tech side of shit, right? Like it just wasn't really possible. You know what I'm saying? Like I got told that like we couldn't, execute a lot of different things, and like also like I've never had someone that could help me keep track of like schedules and be like, hey, look, we got to do this, we got to do that, and just kind of always like pushing me kind of like daily, because it's always kind of essentially like I've like dated people and like I've been with people, like it's always kind of like this is the first time like in a setting to where, you know what I mean? Like I'm like I'm getting
Yeah, yeah.
pushed
I
like
get you.
daily. Like it's kind of like this is all stuff like I sit around like essentially like barbershop talk with like all these other leaders and clans, and like kind of like dwelled
Yeah.
on for like 8 9 months. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like really dwelled on it. I talked with TSV Terracote about it like crazy amount of times, like just nonstop, right? And but really didn't have no exact way I could execute that or how to even do it. And then like she really helped me kind of paint the route, like the checkpoint by checkpoint route to get to where I want it to be, right? And so definitely her, and then also someone that's crazy talented is Darstar. I don't know if you've seen his stuff like on Twitter, but like
That Dark Star Eddie, that's he's in chat there. Is that same person there?
I don't know. Darstar, I don't know. Maybe he'll answer. But he does like the Exile Crew stuff. He does like he's just super talented with like the media and just in general like super. He's smart, man. He's a real smart guy. And someone else, I gotta at least do a third one.
There you go.
Oh man, this guy named
Maybe this
th-
person asked a question is hoping you'll say that person.
dude. I would have to
I'm not gonna
say
say who. I'm not gonna say who it is.
somebody that's around, right? Someone that has, I think's been around for 3 years, but just I've never got to know him. That like I really have got to know, uh, recently, I would say Cowboy. Cowboy's pretty cool. He's pretty,
Good name. Good name.
yeah. He stresses me out, but he's great.
We have some other questions for you that have come in via text or DM. For anyone that's in chat, you can, if you feel like throwing your question there in chat, we'll try to grab it. But if you want to get your question on air, not guaranteed depending on the question, but make sure you can send us a text anonymously at 518-400-2660. That's 518-400-2660. You don't have to say who you are. I can just send a text. If you have a question for Mr. XGN himself, we'll review that text message, and if it's something we want to discuss, we'll throw it on air, and if he's willing to answer, then he'll answer. To move on to another question, this is actually, let me see, I'm going to go back if you guys have a second here, because I got to look. This came up at least 3 times. It was DM to our Practical Reality Twitter account. I had one person DM me personally on my Twitter account. And I guess the gist, because they were all somewhat the same question, so I don't want to read one question over the other. It seems like XGN at some point or another was in the competitive scene, and you have members, and there was 3 individuals that DM'd us. So if you have 3, considering the amount of members you have, if there's 3 that are wondering, I'm going to guess that there's at least 300 people that are wondering in your team, and they are curious what happened, and will there ever be a competitive team for XGN? And are you waiting for? And if so, has it not happened because you're waiting for a certain Call of Duty? Or you're waiting for something different in the Call of Duty scene? I guess you could kind of answer that how you will, but the main question is XGN competitiveness. Is it happening? Will it happen? Is it coming back? Where are we at with that?
I mean, realistically, like like Exile Syndicate, like something that we've kind of like moved towards like on a different level is kind of like the whole Exile League type thing, to where we kind of put on our own esports type deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, that OTO is kind of like our, like XGN's community, BGL's a community, OTO is like just straight esports. And if we do esports, all of our esports efforts probably would be pushed over there. Like they currently do have like a really sick like R6 team. I'm not even gonna come out here and pretend like I know anything about all that. So like I do know they play against like verified like R6 teams, so they gotta be pretty good. So like that's kind of like all I know. But they're really pushing it, and they're also the people that co-own that, also co-own XL League. So there is like that whole competitive mindset, but it's definitely not really Call of Duty focused at this point, just because the amount of money it would take to get into Call of Duty. But
Right.
like I would say Rainbow Six is like we have
Mm.
a really good opportunity to kind of excel there, and I want as many XGN members and Exile Syndicate members as a whole to like latch on to OTO, right? Like
Just to cut you off for a second, just let you know that
yeah,
the floodgates have opened right now, because
yeah.
we got at least 4 text messages, 2 more DMs, and I don't know if they're gonna keep coming. So yeah, so I don't know if we're gonna get to all your questions, guys, but I fucking love the feedback you guys are giving us. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to let you know that your team, they got questions, man. So that's they're really engaged. That's awesome.
I don't get out much.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead and continue regarding the.
But nah, like I want like all of like XGN and Exile Syndicate, like members and supporters, even if they try out and was to get on the OTO team, like that's cool, because we do own part of that. That's an organization that was launched inside of Exile Syndicate, and it's just too good of a brand for us not to kind of utilize for esports, right? And that's kind of like where we're going to be pushing like all of our esports efforts is into OTO, right? But who knows? I'm not gonna say there couldn't be like an XGN team ever. You know what I'm saying? But for right now, that's kind of our esports branch.
Okay. Rach, I'm hearing yet another text. I think we're up to 4 text messages.
I have a question from the chat though.
Okay.
What was the
Let's
turning
prioritize the chat a
point?
little bit.
What was the turning point that made the conversion between XGN and XS happen? So basically, what made that happen?
Yeah. Realistically, like why we started to push, Exile Syndicate is again, we looked around the clan scene as a whole and we saw that kind of like the quality wasn't there, the longevity wasn't there. Groups really lacked everything essentially that we could provide, excellently. So XGN sacrificed all of our departments, media, art, journalism, design, awards, like our Xbox Club, our Discord server. Like this is the first, like in the last like 3 months, the first time, 3 or 4 months is the first time XGN's had its own Discord server since 2018. We only use XS's. So we sacrificed most of our major branding and changed our YouTube channel, all of that, to Exile Syndicate. In exchange, now organizations could, join and kind of instantly link on to this kind of exoskeleton that could provide all these services that if you're a startup clan or you're a new clan that you would stress to provide immediately, right? Like events and like, you know, game nights and now you don't have to worry about, building out all this staff. All you have to focus on is building out the core clan, right? And then those people could then join a part and be a part of a broader department. And that was kind of like why it kind of started, but then like yeah, that doesn't really work.
I mean, that kind of leads us to another question, Rage, if you want to read it.
Which one?
Yeah, which one? The one that just replied back to us right this very second.
Okay. The first one, second one? Let's go with the first one.
Okay, sure, whatever. Yeah.
All right. So, are there any communities that you can say helped change the community scene from when you first started XGN to present day?
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
KSI. Yeah.
I can't talk about, dude. I done got, hey, KSI 77 done text me. The 70S task force is about to bust down my door and assassinate me if I talk about KSI anymore on this podcast. So
Are they
I gotta
watching?
just-
Hello to them. Shout out to them.
they're always watching. They're in my webcams, dude. Like for
Wow.
real. Like they're crazy.
Tapped in.
I am not getting deleted. Hey, don't you delete me off the Hall of Fame. Listen, JT, settle down. All right, but listen, nah. I can't really. I don't do nothing these days without saying like how much I appreciate like Hydra, like Helios, TSV, XDG, like RGN, like especially like TSV and Terracode, right? Because like I would have never expected it because like we went from being like essentially like it wasn't really arch nemesis because it was just like him being my arch nemesis and then him just making fun of me, but essentially just not getting along to like now I like almost talk to that guy like every day, right? And like just I really do feel like the more we talk like the better the scene gets, like honestly, like, and that's crazy. And like it's like I went so long like without having peers because I didn't affiliate with people. I didn't have alliances. I didn't do all that. Just being a kid growing up in the scene and like just constantly making mistakes and learning from them, right? Like, and it's just enlightening. And then obviously he would tell you, that's another person you gotta have up on here. But he would even tell you himself that like he's not perfect either. And it's kind of like just us being able to be real. And that's kind of like me doing this podcast wouldn't be possible because the one thing that he's taught me is like like you can be flawed, you can mess up, you can be whatever, but just be you, right? Like at all times. And like he has a real personality. You know what I'm saying? So definitely TSB for sure. And like the whole Hydra like clique, but definitely TSB.
Okay. There's a lot of other questions that have come in, and I don't know if we should keep answering them, and I love them, honestly. Uh, but I think maybe we could do one more, and this one was DM'd to me, actually, and I'll read it. It says, "What are the development of other communities from XGN to now? Change the impact of gaming community in the scene today, and any communities that have done good and some bad." So it's kind of the same question, I guess. But I think what's different with this question is, um, has the development of of XGN, do you feel like that has, like as a for instance, what you guys have done has, and what I think they're trying to say is, has it created a footprint for other communities? Have you seen other, I don't want to say copycats, but have you seen the influence of XGN spill over to other communities? And I'm adding this part to the question: is that something that you look at and go, man, that's dope? You know what I mean? Good for them. Let them rock out. Or do you see it as an attempt to create something that you're doing and it's just not being done right, so you know it's gonna fail?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I feel like, you know, you've always like like you guys were always on Twitter, but like a lot of clans and like this scene, like they weren't really out there like that. Like I'll see a clan like start and like we used to have the whole like, you know, all the recruitment Twitters and all that, and a lot of scene like clans in our scene kind of like picked up on that and kind of like the whole marketing aspect
Yeah.
of it. But like I see it as good because like you really look at the scene and you know I can put out content and just my clan can watch it, or if I have all these you know supportive groups around me, like we can all kind of support each other shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like why like I mess with it. Like I don't really get upset at like copycats and stuff like that. Like it happens. It's like, but at this point, like going down a route to where we've literally given like new clans every utensil. We've given them departments. We've given them stimulus package of recruits. We've given them leaders. Like I've literally have like
Oh
done
shit.
the most. We've
Yeah.
hosted their website, like you know, paid for their shit. Like we've done so much stuff, and then it's still not work out, right?
Yeah, you've had some that
So
went sour. There was one guy in particular, I forgot the name. I think he had a few. And you don't have to speak on the situation. I'm not asking for that. But I think this was a guy that was trying to do his own thing and actually used a logo, bought a logo off of me for something that I had previously used. And I think he fell under your umbrella. Was it Fierce Gaming? Does that ring a bell?
he's bad. He's a
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah. I mean, he would hit me up, and that, again, this podcast is zero fucks given, so I don't give a fuck. I mean, this guy would hit me up and tell me certain situations were going on in his life, and would ask me if I could throw him a few dollars and shit like that. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So like, obviously, fuck him. One, two. Um, obviously these teams that you take on the umbrella, it's a risk. It's a risk, for you. And obviously, just like Fierce Gaming, that one didn't work out. Have you had, again, this is not shout out hour, but I'm assuming that has there been other situations, not exactly like that, but have you had ones that haven't panned out in the long run as far as, taking them on underneath your umbrella?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Pretty much, man. Like it. Besides BGL, like that's the only one. Like they're ride or die. You know what I'm saying with me,
No,
but
now hold on. I'm not trying to like call you out or anything, but from people that have been interacting with us, following us, and maybe because I don't understand your whole thing, your whole deal here, but there are other people and other teams that are associated with XS or XGN, in their headers or in their bios. Are these not these teams that have gone under your umbrella for you to say that like they're all have failed?
I mean, pretty much like we have XGN and then OTO, which was internally launched, which is esports. TXI is a division. Like a lot of these brands that you probably see are just divisions of XGN, right?
Right.
But as far as like communities, we have XGN and BGL,
Okay.
and like that's it. Like
Okay, so
that's
there's a difference there for you, because like someone that doesn't understand, how that works with you guys,
yeah,
I don't understand that shit. So to me, it's like, yeah, this is part of XGN, not that it's like a division or whatever. To me, this is
yeah,
just like something that you're attached to, something that you're running, something that whether you're running it directly or not, like this is something that's under your umbrella. But you're telling me there's a difference there. So there's a difference between an affiliated team versus a full-fledged community. There's a difference there for you.
I don't, I'm not their leader. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
if they're a division's, falls under XGN, and then if you're like, say you're fierce, whatever, and you come up underneath the umbrella, you kind of sit alongside me on a governing council. You know what I mean? It's how I would do it. So
Okay.
like, because I didn't want to like, I didn't, you know what I mean? It's not my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we were there to kind of help, and to me gaining, uh, I would say the failure kind of probably came into it as not having people the same tier as me, as the same level as me, right?
Okay.
Because like they just like I get so many people that like the first inconvenience, oh I'm gonna quit. You know what I mean? Like I'm done. Like and I'm just like it must be fucking nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
I mean,
can't.
and we talk about like we spoke up a little bit about it before, and you've mentioned the longevity. I mean, XGN going on 11 years this month. Team Pawnage was 11 years in June. So we're like right there. And like I said, Team Pawnage, again, for those that might be just joining, I'm the former owner of Team Pawnage, and Wicked Rage over here is the current owner and CEO of Team Pawnage, also going on 11 years. And the longevity has always been something that was important to us, is that we see so many teams come and go, which you've mentioned before, like these seasonal teams. And then we have, other teams that have been around in the esports scene, community, and stuff like that. And if anyone's here watching, I really don't give a fuck. But teams like Lethal Gaming, who's had so many issues with rights with their names, their logos, and you want to talk about like these guys have had so many comebacks within the past, I don't know how many years. It is absolutely pathetic to see that they have more comebacks than the amount of years that they've been around, I think. And they keep popping up, they keep changing ownership, they keep getting new co-owners, and they disappear, and then they come back, and then we've had, I'll speak on it, Rage, because I'm not,
Go for it, man.
I'm
Go
not
for
really
it.
Team Pawnage anymore, but we've had members, join Team Pawnage because Lethal Gaming disappears for months at a time, and then they decide to pick back up, and then members from Team Pawnage leave and go back to Lethal Gaming, and then Lethal Gaming lasts 2 months, and then they go and disappear again. So like it's just a shit fucking practice that they do. I don't care how many Call of Duty trophies or accomplishments they've won in the Call of Duty scene, or how many years they've been around, in the gaming scene. You guys have fallen apart. And the case of like, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get back up. Like that shit don't apply this time around. You know what I mean? Like, so we see things like that, and what like. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you know of Lethal Gaming, and I don't know if you want to speak on Lethal Gaming,
So
but
this kind of goes with a question that just literally came
just
in.
popped up.
Yeah, text message. It says, since we don't give a fuck. Any communities that Mr. XGN feels like are a joke or leave a bad name in the community scene? I know that puts you kind of right on the spot there.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna hell yeah, that's verbatim. That's what was said right there. Yeah.
They know who they are. I don't even have to, man. They know
Yeah.
who they are, man.
That's one of those questions like they know who they want to say.
We don't fuck with them guys. Nah, they know who they are, man.
Hashtag. Yeah, so like, what back to my rant regarding, teams like that, man. Like what is your take on, these communities, these teams that uh kind of have these falling outs and their revamps and their comebacks and like and then you have teams like yourself and communities like yourself and then Team Portage that just kind of we're not perfect, but we kind of get it, kind of go through year by year, just kind of put your
We
best
work
foot forward and
through
keep
it.
and work through it. There you go. Yeah, thank you. I was trying to
Don't
find the
close our
And
doors. Don't have, the massive drama all publicly laid out for everybody to see and sip tea to.
man, I love that. I have to, man. I have to lay all my shit out, man. Like, to me, like, we went from such an era of like, oh, we got blacklist this person. We don't want our people knowing about it. To like now, like, if people talk shit about me, bro. I'm like, okay, and I literally just tweet it all out. I'm like, well, now let them make an
yeah you
educated.
have
Like, I want people like, cause I'm not perfect. Like, I'm just not. And if that's what you're wanting here, then I'm sorry, it's just not what it's gonna be. Like it doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing, but like I'm perfect at like adapting, perfect at like evolving, perfect at like figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? And like that's where I'm at with it. And like if I fuck up, I'm gonna like tweet about it. And if I like I learned a lesson like a couple weeks ago, I had to tweet it. Like there's always different things that um, happen that if I don't speak on, right, I feel like that leaves shit up for interpretation, right?
hmm
And like that's just not where I'm at with it. But like I I, I don't know. Like I feel like the people are smarter than like, we, previously had acted.
Sorry, there's more stuff coming in for you, but um uh so I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna go ahead and do that.
So when it comes to XGN and its longevity, obviously you've seen a lot of teams come and go. Um, and obviously, like you said, you kind of put it all out there. You're not hiding from it. You're not running from it, which is good because, like, it's hard to call bullshit if you're just willing to just kind of say what you got to say and put all that stuff out there. Um, but what is your take on teams that are doing the very opposite, that are not doing the right thing? What kind of impact do you think that is? Because I know you've been a strong advocate with making clans and teams still a thing. Because let's be honest, like what Mr. XGN is doing here, and what Team Ponage has done, has tried to stay true to its core value of community and clan. Is that safe to say, Mr. XGN?
Very much so.
Right. So, but it seems to me that we hit an era in the gaming community, and I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit here, where everyone wanted to be like every team that was popping up was, a pro team, and then you also then like Twitch happened, right? Twitch was what, Justin TV or something like that back in the day, like when I first started paying attention to it, and then it was Twitch, and then like not there wasn't so many streamers because everyone had to have a PC to stream, and not everyone had the equipment to do it, and then streaming became easier with the PS4 and the Xbox One, where you was able to stream directly from there, so it opened like the floodgates to streaming. And then it became a very big focus with the streaming. And I thought streaming was a fantastic tool. It was another form of social media. It was another way to provide content and exposure and marketing. And another platform. I'm using it right now to do some of that very stuff. Um, but I felt it was doing damage at the same time. And now I'm not talking about titty streamers or a hot tub or a pool, water pool streamers. I'm not talking about any of that. That's like the new shit. What I'm talking about is it became such a focus with gamers that it's almost like uh, there was no such thing as gaming anymore without a camera being on or without it being streaming. And I felt that the focus of gaming shifted, and so now you had teams that were focused on being competitive and never going anywhere for the most part. And then you had these clan communities that were focused on trying to just get like content creators. They were looking for streamers. Like they weren't really even looking for community members. They weren't even looking for. I don't know if XGN does this, but Team Pointage still does it to this day. Team Pointage still has game nights, community nights, poker nights and shit like that. Like they still are doing things that involve the members together. I don't know if XGN does that type of stuff. But you have all these teams that started coming out, and all they gave a fuck about was just getting someone that streams. Like we're just looking for streamers. We just can we get a streamer? Can we find streamers? And that's like it was the stream, and that was their main focus. Now I get it as a social platform. It's needed, and Team Pointage and other teams that have adapted to some of that stuff, and it feels like it's one of these things where I think, well, you can't be a community and a team if you don't at least dabble or at least provide some levels of streaming and or have your members promote you on these other platforms. But the point where I'm getting at is during this whole shift, X amount of years ago, how did XGN adapt to that? What is your feelings on that? Obviously, there's some very good stuff that comes out of Twitch. A lot of stuff that comes good out of streaming. What do you feel it has done that the competitive scene and the streaming scene to true clans and communities that are trying to legitly bring members together, try to bring gamers with common goals, to game on an everyday, basis. I hope that wasn't like too much of a long random question for you, but
I know what you're saying. Like
yeah,
to me, it's important that it's very clear that organizations like ours like maintains a heart, right? It maintains like an actual heart, like a living, breathing thing. Like you feel like you're actually a part of something, and that's kind of like the direction with a lot of the changes that we made was to kind of only enhance that feeling, right? To where you feel like you're a part of something for the long run. You feel like you're, putting time into something and something's putting time into you, right?
man, yeah,
So,
say that. Can you say that shit again, just for the people in the back, bro? Say that again. That part right there, man. If you remember it.
yeah, like you have to feel like you're putting, time into something and something's putting time into you, right?
There it is.
And
And not
like
just one
that's
way.
yeah, like and I feel like as far as competitive and streaming and stuff, like I didn't really take it too negatively or too to heart. Like I see organizations that are based like just around that and they lack the heart. They're just esports to like to the point that, I stopped even seeing those people as competition like on like Black Ops 2. I'm like, yeah, you can be a part of like that and this, like to where I don't even categorize that for a long time, like even as one with us, right? But now, I don't really see it as too negative because, we always want to provide game nights, activities, education, fun, all of that. I just saw it as an extra thing that now we have to provide, like a competitive experience, right?
Yeah,
Streaming opportunities.
it's an add-on. It's not the
Yeah,
core. Yeah,
yeah. It's
because you got to keep with the times. You definitely have to roll with what's going on. You have to stay canon. You have to you can't be dated and not do that stuff. Right? I get it.
funny you said that because like I always said like, yo, we've got, when it came time to start doing that stuff, and XGN we didn't for years and years and years. But like I was like, okay, we've got the high school built. Now it's time to tax on these extracurricular teams, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like that's kind of, the whole, you know, comparison I've always used is like, yo, XGN is the school, all this other shit's extra. You know what I mean? If you perform poorly in the school, then you ain't playing on the field. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah,
that's kind of like,
that's that. Yeah, that's a
and that's
good. Yeah,
kind of
that's a good
like
point.
where I've always went with it. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Rage. Rage. I mean, well, both of you guys are still within the gaming community. I stepped out from that stuff, so I can speak a little bit more freely than maybe some of you guys can or Rage can. But like,
Fuck that. What
I
do you
know.
want to know?
Yeah. I just like since I handed the team down to you, there's, I'm sure you've had to deal with some of these very challenges regarding the teams and regarding team opponents, regarding some of these issues that we're talking about here. I mean, is there any experiences that or any concerns or anything that you've seen that like is in relation to this that you want to speak on? I mean, it's up to you if you
I
want
mean,
to or not.
everybody
But
thinks they're entitled to shit now.
yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of entitlement now compared to what it used to be. And I mean, within the community, I keep it real. I mean, outside publicly, I'm not going to sit there and put members and stuff on full blast or anything like that. But if I got to be a bitch, I got to be a bitch.
that's it.
Well,
See, us guys, we can't say be a bitch because it means it's a different rating. For you, a bitch is an empowerment. For a guy, it's the opposite. So
it's
it's the complete opposite if a guy says that. But yeah. So like, I just the gaming changed, and there's in my opinion, there isn't many clan communities out there that I can see of. When you refer to communities and stuff like that, everyone is always talking about your Twitch communities, your community that you have as a streamer, and your followers and stuff. But I don't, I don't. You're you're more involved and more have your eye more on what's happening in the gaming community nowadays. Is there a lot of true communities, a lot of true clans popping up, or is it just more esports stream team type deals is that the only thing that we're getting these days?
There's not really a whole lot of like substance, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
nothing like more than like seasonal, nothing that's willing to kind of like
it's
make the
crazy.
changes. Like most of the clans that I've seen, um, was like in a direct like almost of like protest of kind of like the changes that we've like taken almost, right? Kind of like, oh, like whatever. But I feel like, even if you look at the clans in Hydra and then you also look at the clans like in XS, like the changes that we're kind of making is more so to be able to like compete with like the new age community that you speak on, but with a heart. You know what I mean? Like you got to have that core. But I mean, like removing squads and removing a lot of all the things that make it feel like you're a part of a second job, right? Like is now opening it up to where a whole different type of player that normally couldn't be a part of this can be a part of this, regardless of like their time capacity. We like historically like deleting people for like inactivity like quick because like on a
Yeah.
squad tag you can only have 100 friends back on 360. I bet you don't even know what
Mhm.
that is, but a tag that essentially is like a squad, right? Like a squad is like, for instance, it would be called like XGN XYZ DH for Double Helix, and that's a squad inside a Double Helix. So like you could only
Wow.
have 100 people inside of a squad, and like everyone thought that the reason why that was designed at 100 people was some super scientific reason, but it really just comes down to the fact that a squad tag on Xbox 360 silver tag can only have 100 friends. So that determined how many people is in a squad. And essentially, if you can only have 100 friends, you're going to want to get rid of all the inactive people and fill it with as
Oh
active as
yeah, yeah,
possible.
yeah.
So a lot of people that would have normally not have left that maybe just don't play video games every single day of their life would still be a part of this, but we just dumped them.
Yeah, I mean, it was you kind of forced to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that was just the way the system. You had to play the system. You had to work within the system rather, and yeah, you gotta make the room. Gotta make the room.
Not no more, man. That's why I open up to divisions to where I really feel like these divisions are gonna have like thousands and thousands of people. Now, granted, like only like a certain percent is gonna be like active on a weekly basis, but people go through shit and people go through things. And you look at even the way that gaming has changed, and the way Microsoft, they're already counting everyone that has Xbox Live Gold as potential Game Pass subscribers, right?
Yeah,
And by having them at the the bottom, at veteran member, at the bottom of the organization, and them being a part of it, whether it's now, 6 months from now, or 6 years from now, when they decide to maybe take it a little more serious, maybe when they decide to, they got the extra time, hell, maybe they're on house arrest, who the fuck knows? Maybe now they'll choose to invest that time here. You know what I mean? And like just dumping them, like, what does that help? If you want to gauge your activity, just gauge everything above that rank.
now, real quick, Rage, there's a question that Huggy Bear asked in there,
Yes, I
which I
saw
like
that.
to, which I like to address. Which I'm sure you. Why don't you address that? Because I know I experienced the hell out of that shit when I was owning Team Portage, and you were, whether you're dealing with it now or not. I know you dealt with it through me when you were under me. But that's a very interesting question, right? So if you don't mind.
Is it right for people to feel unwanted if a stream team does not help promote them? Do you want me to answer that? So, I mean, I really think it depends on what they joined. If they joined a streaming community and they feel unwanted because they're not helping promote, then yeah, they shouldn't be there. It's not right at all. Now, if they joined a gaming community, then isn't that just a perk? I mean, streaming is great and all, but if you're joining a gaming community, not something that actually is like, hey, we're going to help push you to partner, we're going to help you get affiliate, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, I believe that there is a line in between that. There, with the gaming community, for instance, my gaming community, we're fucking humans. Like, we can't be there all the damn time. We can't jump in a stream at 4 o'clock in the morning. We can't tweet you out
Mm-hmm.
at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning when you decide to go live randomly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people are sleeping. People have
Yeah,
lives.
well,
It's a
yeah.
gaming community.
I used to
So
tell people all the time. I used to say, listen, I don't watch people stream. I don't really watch people stream. Like, I appreciate everyone that's watching us stream, but like, I don't go on. Me personally, my whole thing is NT2 game. I have no time to game because I'm just so busy as a father, as a person that works, Monday through Friday. I don't have the amount of time. Like my time has become shrunk to game. So, and
and
it was I had more time before, but if I had time to sit down and watch you stream a game, like
that's my time to game.
I'd rather be playing myself. My time is so limited. Like if I can sit down and watch you play Call of Duty, well, I'd rather be fucking play myself. I don't set time aside to watch you like a TV. Like if there's time for video games or anything video game related, I'm gonna do it myself. Not sure I can have you on in the background, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but like, so like that was an issue that I had too. Like, supporting, streamers. It's like, dude, like the time that I have anything video game related, like I might as well just play myself. I have the game you play, so I'm gonna play it. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it
So
was, yeah.
I mean, Pinky Punk said a team is a team. I feel like it's give and take, but I also agree that there is a line. It shouldn't be as important for a stream team. For instance, Team Ponage, it's a perk. It's something that we do have for our members, and those that do want to be on the stream team, we will put in the extra effort that we possibly can, but it's not going to be 24/7.
Mm. It's
And
difficult. Yeah.
our primary goal is the gaming community as a whole, bringing everybody together, bringing everybody to game together, to talk together, to get to know each other. We're not there to boost your numbers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that join teams, communities, and what have you, and their participation within the team is next to none. And but the time that you do hear from them is when they tag you on a tweet or they, jump into the Discord to let you know that they're about to start streaming, and that's the only time that you heard from them all week. You know what I mean? Like
Put in,
that's
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of get out of it what you put in, and
yeah,
like I think by joining a community, you have like a really good opportunity to kind of like network and meet friends and like meet people that are just actually going to want to support you organically and not feel forced to. Like,
yeah.
Not
Because if
I,
just
you're
a
in chat
follow
and
for
you're cool as
follow type
shit,
thing.
no, yeah. Because
yeah,
if you're in chat, if you're engaging on people on Twitter, if you're engaging with people on Discord, and you're cool as shit, and people are interacting with you because you're cool as fuck, then people are gonna be like, oh, he's on. I want like I love him when he's on Twitter. I love like well,
love that
they're
guy.
gonna want they're gonna want to go on because they're like yeah, I just had this conversation with him yesterday about whatever like they organically want to show up because they fucks with you because you were on,
You're fucking awesome
you were
because you're in
active,
there
you were
talking, because you're in there getting
yeah,
to
yeah,
know people.
yeah.
Like
So
Huggy
organically,
said,
yeah,
I would argue that you need to make connections to the team to make them want to support you. And,
yeah.
and it's the genuine connections that you make. If you don't make the genuine connections, why on earth are they going to waste their time going to talk to somebody that isn't going to give them 2 seconds of their real day?
And see, this is part of the issue that I had with streaming. All the good things that come with streaming, you know, all the engaging that you're doing in chat and the charities that come from it, and just the awesome moments that you can have while you're a streamer in gaming. I'm not taking away any of that. What I'm saying is, when you run a true gaming community and clan like Team Ponage, NextGN, and anyone else out there that's like that, and you're in it for the relationships, the friends, the community, the engagement, and all that. And then you throw in the people that come in that expect you to jump into your streams, or the focus for you joining is for the hopes of your numbers to grow and stuff like that. Like that, without question, has put a damper and has put a dent in the very fiber of what a gaming community is. Because before Twitch, there wasn't any of that. And what we stand for, what teams and communities stand for, was just that alone. It wasn't anything else. So, that's my gripe with the whole streaming thing, is the people that have they obviously back in my day, everybody, everyone on my block, everyone wanted to be a fucking rapper, or fucking they wanted to join the NBA and stuff like that. Like now, I live in a world where everyone wants to be, a streamer, or wants to be, some type of social media influencer. You know what I mean? Like the times have changed. I'm old. I'm 40. So I get, I get it. Like I
He's
see what's
old.
happening. Yeah, I am old, but like that to me is what has changed in the gaming community, and it's how do you guys fight that now, 2021, going into 2022? How do you continue to keep what you guys are doing wholesome? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
like you just kind of evolve as much as you can with stuff, but also kind of like just recognize. Like I said, the people are pretty smart, man. Like, and when people like join and like all they're here for is like what the community can do for them and not like that equal like give and take, right? Then like they kind of catch on and like there really is a filter and like they kind of understand like hey like that's not gonna work, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I also like try and keep it very clear of like what the expectation upon joining here is, you know? So
I have a question for you. Well, there's a question that came in via text, and it came through a little rough, and I don't want to fuck with the mood that we're having here. So I'm gonna remix the question a little bit just to kind of not make it make more of a overall question. But they're referring to something that you mentioned before, which was they wanted you to kind of clear up on what you meant by putting your members putting the time in into the community. Like with members, and this part is my part of the question, remixing the second part of their question. With having so many members in your community, to 2,000, 2,500, 4,000, or whatever. Um, and then again, this is me actually. You've mentioned you've singled out other certain people that have done amazing jobs in the community, your leaders, and some other people, like you mentioned, like Cowboy and some other people that you had mentioned. How can one member out of the 4,000 uh, kind of get recognition within your community? How can they stand out? How difficult is it for them to stand out? Like what, did they got to like what, what I'm saying? Like what do they got to do to kind of be like, hey, I'm here. I know there's 3,999 other people here. I'm in it. Like you get what I'm saying? Like what is it? What is it that they have to do to put the work in and stand out?
Yeah, and like this is where I come down heavy on these division leaders and these divisions, and particularly, because they are, promotion channels. There's, you'll see me retweet it often, promotions from these divisional Twitters and different things, spotlighting their members and showing off their clips or showing off their talent or showing off these things. And when we've made this transition, one thing that I've told all these divisions is like, look, if I can get this experience in Division A over Division B, tell me why I would want anyone joining Division B, because they're going to get a lesser experience than
Mm-hmm.
if they just joined the other division. And that's, we did just recently go through, huge transitions and huge changes and, stuff like that. And I'm given time for people to kind of adapt and whatnot. But at a certain point, you're going to realize that, the people deserve to be spotlighted. They deserve to be showcased. They deserve to, have their stuff out there and pushed, to where we can latch onto it and get behind it as a community. But also there's key leaders, myself, my chick, a lot of different people that are all up in these um, servers and chats and reading. Like we're well aware of pretty much like everything that goes on, like beef issues, like jokes, inside jokes. Like we're pretty like tapped into like every aspect of the community at this point, right? So if you're doing good shit, we're gonna know about it. And even if you're doing bad shit, we're gonna know about it. You just won't know we know about it. You know what I mean? So like, it's just kind of like at that point, it's fairly simple because, we did go from having like 9 to 10 divisions and combining into like 6 divisions. So it's not some overwhelming, thing to kind of, keep an eye on. But people that are doing good stuff definitely get showcased.
There's a question in chat by the Darstar Eddie.
Yes. It says, can Mr. XGN call out examples from these divisions and say what makes them different?
Yeah. Like, this dude just loves me to talk about him. He just wants me to brag on him, yo.
He's a good one. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Like, that's Darstar. That's one. Remember Darstar 1 to 3? Remember? But nah,
That's right. Yeah.
like, nah, PS is definitely killing it, bro. PS kills it on, like, the media front and, like, the video, like, production. Like, if you're, like, a competitive player and you want your clips and stuff to be shown off to, like, your peers and have people get behind it, like, that is clearly that division, right? TXI is another, like, really good one. They got, like, a great family atmosphere. They got, like, the game nights and stuff. And, like, um, you know, to be completely honest, like even XOD, is doing good stuff. Like all these divisions have. Here's the thing. Like I would say all 6 of the divisions I have right now are like prospering at something. But like I don't think any of them are prospering at all of them, right?
Mhm.
And like all those assets together, like unless we start separating recruits between divisions depending on what they're wanting to focus on, they have to kind of universally be, you know, a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we're at. But I mean, I feel like right now I can't really say that any of these divisions are doing anything bad. It's just like they're just overshining at certain aspects so much that like it kind of makes the rest of it look like, hey, you need to improve on that. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, it totally does.
Yeah.
And like someone had said in chat, it's like one thing is oh, it was Dark Star is to be active as fuck, and it's difficult, right? Like activity is difficult because what's a lot for me may not be a lot for you. What my time allots may not be the same time that allots for you. So you may be going ham all day long because your job just if you have a job, your job is more easygoing and you have more time to scroll and you can just whatever. And like my job is super hectic, and if I get in 3 tweets during the day, that was a lot for me because I should be doing like none or one. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like it differs for everyone. So yeah, just it depends on your lifestyle. Some women are moms, if, full time workers, school, and all that stuff. So it's difficult to gauge, what is considered a lot of activity. I think just showing up every day, if possible. It's always just kind of like, hey, just like retweet something. Just get in there once, at least once or twice a day. Show you around, and you should be good. You know what I mean? But it's hard to um, it's hard to move on from your day to day stuff. So
Definitely.
um,
So,
there, there's a lot, still so many. We're still getting texts and shit like that from people, man. But we can't answer it all, obviously. um,
to
was
finish
there was
out
there some?
though,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually I think I have a really good one that I would love to ask. This one actually came in. It says, "What words of advice can you give to someone starting a community?"
If you're starting a community, like I would honestly say that something that I really feel that a lot of people that haven't really gained that, knowledge or gained that experience realistically try and, you know, like beat down different other organizations' doors with like opinions or, mindsets or like just try and kick it too soon, right? I feel like take a step back and really just focus on building your own stuff, really just focus on filling out your own foundation. Obviously, making it there in like the first 6 months, like that's the foundation you build there is like everything, right? Because that's going to define like what the next generations like follow, what the next generations are based around. Even if those people are no longer with you, those are the people you really need to focus on. And you shouldn't rush that. Like people try and like they try to fill out their board of directors, they try and fill out their whole senior staff, and I'm like, what are
Yeah,
you staffing? You've got like 2 members. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. How many leaders do
yeah.
you need for 4 people? You know what I mean? Like that whole some having too many chiefs and not enough Indians or term. You know what I mean? For sure.
So I would say realistically, just focus and don't rush that experience because that's the best part. That's the most fun you're going to have. Like, why would you want to rush that to begin with, right? Like, have fun with it and really grow out something that you can be proud of. And that's kind of like the whole goal. And don't get into it for the wrong reasons because, again, it doesn't matter about how many people you have. It's about like if I can't administer a quality experience that 2,000 people like will want, then I don't want to do it. Like whether it's 200, whether it's 60, whether it's whatever the number is, only thing that I really care about is what people are a part of is something they can be proud of, right? And that's kind of like what I keep trying to stress to other clans.
We just, I know we should be wrapping up soon. it looks like we have another question here. I think we didn't answer their first question. Maybe we can get their second question in Rage, or get in their first question, but not the last question. I don't want to feel like this person was being ignored. Is question one or question two worth answering, or being put out there?
I'm gonna go with question 2 there.
Okay.
Okay. What advice would you give to a person that's running a community and has leaders that are not doing their role? So what advice would you give them?
I mean, in Exian,
They did add on, do you just set them out of their role and find someone that will do it, or do you leave them in it?
well, okay, so in Exian we have, the Clan Ops Council, and then we have something called the Council of Elders, right? Which is essentially like you're still welcome at the meetings, you still get a voice, you still get a vote, you still get all that, but you don't have day-to-day expectations, right? Because to me, like, if someone came here and they put 5+ years into this, and they were a part of so many, like, innovations and so many decisions, and just because now that life hit them with this, or they got to do this, like, just to take that all away isn't something that I personally would want to do. But I also recognize them filling a position, also could be bad. So we kind of created a council of elders, which is essentially like a place that eventually I would go when I retire. Another way to retain older leaders, another way that, when you're done, you're not just done, right? You're still retained, but at that point, you're more of like a spokesman, an ambassador. Like when I
Sounds
made a
like
lot of
me.
these, yeah, yeah. Like
I'm like, I'm
whenever,
not part of the community anymore, but fuck if I'm not around. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's.
I mean,
it's
hello,
crazy. Yeah,
we're
yeah.
running a fucking podcast together. Obviously, I
Yeah.
talked to him.
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of like, what we kind of developed. Whenever I made a lot of these changes, I had a lot of those older guys that didn't even really understand what the hell I was trying to, change, that popped back up and gave some words of like wisdom, and, kind of endorsed it and kind of helped push it through, right? And like, that's kind of, a good thing to have. And, like they don't really, not very rarely they show up to meetings, but, it's the fact that they could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they could have a
Yeah.
say. And like,
Yeah.
that's kind of like where it's at. And they're not just gone and not a part of it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That speaks to me personally. Like, if Rage ever said to me like, hey, listen, would you mind coming in on this, meeting, whatever? Fuck if I would not say yeah. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever knowledge I could help bestow on whatever the situation is, or whatever the case may be. Like Team Portage is something that I was a part of for so many years. I ran it. I was very passionate about it. As soon as I gained ownership of it, I got rid of all my personal sponsorships. I made them to Team Portage sponsorships. I stopped caring about what I was doing individually, and I focused, on the team. I care about its growth. And I didn't leave Team Portage to join another community. And when I said I was gonna bleed orange, I meant it. You know what I mean? And here I am. So, um, where do you see XGN in the next 5, 10 years? Will you still be around?
I mean, maybe. I mean, yeah, I'll be around. Nah, I'll definitely be around, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff, I still want to do. Like, I feel like in this next, like, that's why we realistically made all these changes we made, in the last year, is like, I feel like we're primed for like a really good, decade ahead of us. Like, you know, uh, next summer, I'm wanting to do like an actual like Exiled convention, and like,
Mm.
have like Exile League, like our own league playing there. There's a lot of big stuff that's like in the plans to kind of take this from like online to like also the real world. So there is a lot in the works.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And with that being said, who do you see along your side during all that? Do you feel like you have like strong enough or strong leaders that will still be there? I mean, you speak highly of a few of them? And is there room for new ones coming up within the ranks uh, in the years to come?
I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people along, side. I feel like a lot of people don't even realize that in a lot of ways we just went through a regime change, realistically. And I feel like that the people that are with it, the people that see the vision for the long term are with it now. And I feel like those that were really grasping on to our former definition of success is, no longer with us. So like that's where I feel it personally.
Awesome.
Um, that's awesome, man. And and I hope that XGN and Team Ponage will see each other at the 20-year mark. You know what I mean? you know, and what's funny is that I don't know what you're doing over there. I've never had anyone knock on our door, or when I was with Team Ponage, coming from XGN going, hey, I have fucking Oracle experience over there. You guys recruiting and stuff. Like I've seen that happen with so many other teams and so many other situations. I never had anyone knock on our door going, hey, are you guys, recruiting because XGN sucked or something, or XGN or something. Like, I never had that. So, not to suggest that you're perfect or that everything is perfect over there, because what clan is, but you guys are doing a great job over there. 11 years, congratulations. Once again, on the 11 years. I appreciate you, coming into this podcast. Your members that have participated in chat, sending us text. You guys have hit a record number amount of text messages that we get during the show. We get a couple before show starts. We get one or two, maybe three texts during a show. You guys killed it today.
Yeah, they blew
XGN,
up our phones.
XGN strong, man. You got you got something good going on over there. You got some passionate members. They look like they like to have fun with you, and obviously, they have their questions. They have some of their concerns. What community and what group of friends do not? And last question, I promise. We saw a lot of questions via DM. We saw a lot of questions via text messaging. And obviously, some of these members either A, wanted to ask some of these questions anonymously, B, they don't feel they could bother you personally, C, they don't dare ask. For some of these questions that were asked, obviously, some of these questions should be asked within the channels of your community and your leadership, and whatnot. How accessible are you to receiving some of these questions personally or through your chain of command? What is your advice to your members with some of their questions and concerns that they asked today? Obviously, this isn't the channel to do it. We're glad you guys aired it out and were able to ask and answer, ask some of these questions, and hopefully you got some of these questions answered, guys. But Mr. XGN, what is the proper way for them to reach out to you or their leaders and kind of get some of these answers questions answered that they've asked today, and some that they didn't?
Yeah, well, there's definitely, like the whole innovative department. There's also like the open door policy, but on a more private scale, like my website, exiledking.com, right? Um, I actually have like a way that you can send me messages and like emails and get like directly to me, and that's like the best way because that also goes straight to my email and I get notified on it. So
There it is.
yeah, so exiledking.com, obviously with
There
an
it
X.
is.
Yeah.
Hit his ass up, open door policy, like he said, you know what I mean? So,
Man.
again, we appreciate the participation. It has been more than what we expected. Thank you guys for the follows on the channel. Please check out past episodes, check out future episodes. If you're not part of XGN, check out XGN, check out what they got going on over there. Mr. XGN, what are the best ways to check out your communities? Website, Twitter, like shout out those platforms that you want them to check out.
Obviously on Twitter it's at XGN. On Instagram it's at XGN Clan. Our Discord, discord.gg/XGN. It's easy to get connected. The website's xgn.gg, and that's kind of, you can Google it. It'll be there.
That's it. He's got that all. He's got that all right there, guys. Rage, why don't you take us out again, guys? Appreciate everything.
Absolutely. And Mr.
yeah.
XGN, thank you so much for joining us tonight on our show. We had a great time.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, make sure, don't leave on us when we close out the chat. All right, we want to talk to you for 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Everybody have
guys,
a good
once
night.
again, yep.
We'll be
Yep.
here
All right,
next
good night,
Friday, 9 p.m.
Take care, guys. We'll mute.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah, whoa.